Hello, everyone. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Walls and Ceilings, and everyone, welcome to a special episode of If Walls Can Talk. I am so excited to be here today with Scott Montgomery, the owner and CEO, president of Drywall by Design. Scott, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jill. It's really awesome.
Absolutely. Well,
it's always a pleasure.
It was so much fun meeting you. Gosh, it's been a few years now when we were in Switzerland with Hilti and just had some great experiences to not only see everything that Hilti had going on, but just understand everything that you do with Drywall by Design. But just so you can introduce everybody and tell everybody a little bit about you, please tell us, who is Scott Montgomery and what do you do?
I'm a drywall contractor out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which I've dabbled in all sorts of drywall, from new to renovations to custom homes to drywall art, with Joe Koenig and stuff. And now I specialize in ceiling refinishing, and I've also moved into a lot of Instagram content creation, and call me an influencer.
You are an influencer. There is no doubt about it. I mean, again, it's Drywall by Design, right?
Yeah.
That is so cool. So if everybody who's listening, check out Scott's Instagram page.
Yeah.
Because it is really fun what you're doing. So we're here right now at Build 23 in Las Vegas. And what are you seeing on the show floor? What's really cool, and what do all the contractors that are listening need to also check out?
The one thing that caught my eye right off the bat, I walked in and one of the first things I saw stuck in the corner was the reveal cut, which I don't do a lot of ceiling tile. I do it for enough just to remind myself how to do it.
Yeah.
And cutting reveals on a tegular tile is always it's tricky, and the tile I like to use is all tegular, and I have to cut those reveals, and usually you've got a razor knife or a funky little tool to try to cut those perfect little sharp reveals, and some guys are amazing at it, but this just takes it all and just takes it to like one swipe, two swipes, done, all perfectly square, perfectly clean cuts that are repeatable. And it's just, you could train a guy how to cut a reveal in seconds.
Oh, that's
compared
awesome.
to, trying to teach a kid how to cut a reveal. Which
and
I
it
really
looks like you can take that tool right on site. So they're doing it right on site because, of course, everything's always
it's a really
different.
small tool, and it was like they told me the price. It's like around $500, which is like one job. It'll make its money back for sure.
Oh, for sure. I didn't realize how reasonable it was. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's one reveal cut. That's really cool. So what else are you seeing?
I've only been through about half of it so far, but the other one, which was the accessory for the drywall, the new drywall cutout tool from DeWalt.
Yeah.
I played with the cutout tool before. Got it at home, but they have a small little, almost like a purse-sized vacuum that they hooked up to it with a dust shroud. I wasn't aware that they had a dust shroud for it, so you can cut dustless with a little tiny vacuum that's, about this big and weighs just a couple pounds.
That's awesome.
Versus other companies, you need a big vacuum.
Right.
So I really like that. I like dustless. I'm very much about dustless. My whole system's dustless. So that's one thing that's hard to make dustless and portable, but they did it, so I was really keen on that.
That's awesome. Hey, smaller is easier and more portable for sure, especially when you guys are out there on the job site. You never know when you're in corners or smaller spaces, so kind of cool.
Yeah.
So Scott, you have, of course, been a contractor for many years and doing Drywall by Design for a long time as well. What is one of the most watched videos on your Instagram?
Honestly, people like the gadgets and the gadgets, for sure. That catches people's eye. I think one that I'll never forget just how wild it went was this. It's a Goldblatt Blade Runner, they call it.
Okay.
And it's a drywall cutter that cuts both sides of the drywall at the same time, and you just run it across the drywall. It uses magnets. And I cut the shape of a fish out because you can cut curves and snap it perfectly.
Oh, wow.
And cut all these shapes. It's hard to follow a line, but you can do freehand stuff. And that went pretty wild. A couple million, I think.
Wait, a couple million?
That was
you said a couple million, right?
Yeah. That was a couple years ago, But, it's those little ones.
Yeah.
I think that the gadgets and stuff that people really go for and that blow up, which is always fun. But I try to, teach people too, and it's a mix.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so what do you find is the best thing that for the contractors that are listening that are also trying to improve and do better on, what do you find that people need the most education on?
Trying new things,
Okay.
for sure. like adapting to stuff like dustless finishing, dustless sanding, automatic tools, because I see a lot of people they try it and they say it doesn't work, but they don't commit to actually learning it.
Okay.
Because you didn't pick up a hawk and a trowel and learn it in one day.
Right.
You're not going to learn to pick up a dustless sander and learn it in one day. And that's what I think people need to just up their game a little bit, because if you spend the time and commit, a lot of these tools that people say are a gimmick, they've been designed, they do work if you put the time in and actually learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you're seeing the benefits of learning all of that, because it's probably, I have to believe that the things you've learned make you that much more productive.
I've really kind of streamlined my process, and I'm spraying drywall mud, and I don't even leave the ground anymore when I'm finishing ceilings, and just down on the floor, sanding with a power sander, spraying mud up.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, none of this stilts and working on my shoulder. It's
Okay.
just by trying new things and trying new parts of the industry. That's how I get really bored with just same old, so I'm always changing my process and
That's so
trying
awesome.
new things. Yeah.
So what's the most recent change you've put into place in the process?
Actually, probably that Hilti exoskeleton.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Tell us more about that.
I've been using it for a couple of years now, and I mean, when you first put it on, it's like, oh, this works, but after you've used it, and you're so used to just having this extra, just a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And now I try to, I go and sand something without it. I'm like, I can't go as long as, I'm like, what's wrong?
So
it's
let's
my
talk a little
exo.
bit more about that, so people really understand what it is.
Yeah.
Because right now, also, Scott, for all the contractors out there, when people sign up for Walls and Ceilings, our e-news or our e-magazine, their name will go into a drawing to win one of 4 tools. One is the exoskeleton. So that's kind of a great lead-in.
Yeah.
What really does it do? Because it's kind of interesting to look at.
It's an exoskeleton that you put on just like a backpack. It's really simple, and then even the new one, they updated it this year. They just released a new one to make it really quite easy to adjust and a lot more comfortable. And you put it on just exactly like a backpack, and then it straps to your arms right here.
Yeah.
And it just gives a little bit of lift. So it assists your shoulders and takes the weight off. As soon as there's no motors or batteries, it's all just a passive system with like bungee cords in it. So as soon as you get your arms up to about shoulder height, it starts taking a bit of weight off. And it's just like as if someone came up behind you and just kind of holds your arms up.
That's amazing.
So it just it's not like you're all of a sudden He-Man, but it just takes a bit of that fatigue off. And when you get old, like I'm 47, I mean,
you're young.
They start to wear out, and you see older people that they're destroyed. Young guys, they don't see that yet, but
they don't, but they will, right?
So
because
it's really nice to have that little bit extra.
I love it.
You get another hour of work maybe, or
Sure. Well, absolutely. At the end of the week, everyone's getting tired, no matter how old you are. But okay, so one last question, Scott. So where's everything going in this industry when it comes to the gadgets? What do you think? Where do you see what's coming up that you think what should be invented that you probably really need?
Well, one thing was I was actually at the ConExpo yesterday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I didn't know if I'd find anything there. I didn't think it's all excavation, but I went into the Bobcat booth.
Yeah.
And they had a robot making coffee there.
Yep.
Because they are part of the Doosan group robotics.
Yep.
And I asked the guy jokingly about a robotic drywall sander. And he said, "No, we can do that for you."
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, "No, you're kidding." He's like, "Yeah, we can come to your job site, your facility, and set up and train a robot to sand a wall." And I'm like, "Okay." I mean, that show was really interesting. Mm-hmm. The automation, like you can really saw that in that show. Their automation that's the whole show, is tech and automation and robots and virtual world stuff.
Well, I can't wait to follow up on that because, I mean, when it comes to it's an art form.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know if it's going to be flat or there's going to be a little curve here and there. And so to think that you can train a robot to do drywall is pretty fascinating.
I'm skeptical, but I was skeptical that you could power sand 10 years ago, and now I couldn't do it without it. So Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, it's great to talk to you. It's great to see you again, and it's always fun to catch up to see kind of what you're seeing and what your new processes are. So, because all the contractors out there can always learn something. So, but if they do have more questions, where can they tell us again? Can they find you, and how can they learn
Drywall
more?
by Design is my Instagram page.
Okay.
That's my main. Just people message me, and I respond to everybody.
Yeah.
I try to answer anybody's question that's reasonable. Every once in a while you get a bit of flack, but that's the easiest way. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I love it. And if anybody has any questions for us, it is wconline.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for all our free content, especially our e-news, our website, especially for our videos and podcasts, so you can always stay up to date on all the great content we're putting together, like we are here with Scott. And most importantly, stay safe and healthy, and we can't wait to talk to you again soon. Scott, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Jill. It's a pleasure.